Gen Z loves to complain about how working more than 40 hours a week is somehow equal to slavery, and would love everyone to believe that starting a family is financially impossible these days for the average person. Well, that might be true, but why is every couple making less than $30,000 a year having multiple of them? Well, maybe government assistance or something, but that's a whole different video. In this video, we're going to discuss the injustice that Gen Z claims to face every single day, as well as hearing some thoughts discussing this topic from boomers or Gen X or old people. And despite whatever generation you identify as these days, I would love to hear all your thoughts and opinions below in the comments regarding all these topics. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you like content like this so you don't miss out on my daily uploads around here. And a huge extra shout out to those few of you that go above and beyond and check out those links down below in the description. Those are some of the best ways to support me and my content around here. Now, let's begin this shit show.
You say right now you just won't hire Gen Z employees.
No, we don't. It's been a nightmare with 95% of the ones that we have hired. I once terminated an employee, and her father called me 24 hours later asking how he could help get his daughter's job back. I'd never heard of that before. When I've lost my job, I didn't tell my parents to go call for me.
65% of employers say they have fired a Gen Z employee, and 50% of them say they fired them real recently. Have you had to get rid of Gen Z employees?
Absolutely, and one of the reasons is social media. It's hard to do your job and work if you're on Instagram all day. You have to actually put your phone down and do some work.
But what do you do about the tremors and seizures if they put their phone down? 'Cause don't they start shaking?
Right, you gotta have good insurance, but yes, it's a problem.
You actually walked in to a new Gen Z hire that'd been there like a week, and they had their feet up on the desk.
I walked into their office and sort of, jumped back a little bit because literally her feet were kicked up on the desk. She had brought in her coffee maker in the back, had like a little blanket. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a law firm, and so what are we doing?
I make countless videos here on this channel discussing Gen Z, millennials, and the younger adults complain about and rant about their thoughts, opinions, viewing why they view the workforce and the system and the society that we're living in right now the way they do. So it is always really good to hear the side from the older folks, the boomers, Gen X, and, the elderly. I am joking, but that is kind of the other side. And, but I love how when we ever hear from either side, they always group each other so, I don't know, like just, it's almost like discrimination. Like, they met a couple people from that group, like older people or younger people. These people have hired a couple of Gen Z folks, and they end up turning out kind of what they expected, but for the worse. And now they just label anybody who's younger. They probably look at anybody when they run down the street, those kids on their skateboards, like, ooh, those little hooligans, get off my lawn. And now, for sure, that definitely is a category of people. There definitely are young folks that don't care and are lazy and don't ever want to work. But I think just like there are older people I've worked with who I feel the same way. They've worked long enough, decades longer than I have for the, decade I have, for like the one singular decade I have, being 25, and they've come to terms with the same conclusion, where working doesn't really bring the benefits in that you actually desire. Not even desire, but you initially started working for in the first place, that work's supposed to provide. And then even if you looked at a couple of my last videos discussing how drastically different the income coming in for the set of work you have to put out, it's just not really the same. And once you really acknowledge that, it's hard to really, try your hardest, put your best foot forward. Especially when a lot of employers don't really, run their companies for the employee. They're really running it for the profits. But now we're going to get into some other viewership points of younger folks expressing their thoughts and complaints and bitching about what's going on in their head. But I really would like to really expand on this idea that I love when Dr. Phil has people on his show. He has certain guests that agree with his viewpoints. He's actually more on their side. He'll joke around. He'll kind of let them rant. But as soon as anybody kind of spews a topic or an opinion that maybe doesn't really fit his narrative, he shuts that down, he changes it. There's no jokes involved. It's a serious discussion. It's almost like it's him versus you. But it's just kind of funny how it is. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. And I feel like all this reality TV, all this stuff is just, it's just to push an agenda at the end of the day. And is Dr. Phil really a doctor? Has he really ever helped anybody, or does he just exploit them to get views and clicks, just like every other media Mongol does? So let me know your thoughts, opinions regarding that in the comments as well.
Let me get this straight. I'm supposed to accept having like a quarter to half of my paycheck taxed every paycheck, when I have to dedicate 40 to 50 hours a week doing something I don't want to do for every job that I've worked. And I have nothing to show for any job that I've worked because they don't pay enough. But the money that you do make is taxed, so you're losing like half of that. And all these benefits, you mean the high deductible healthcare plans that you end up paying so much out of pocket for, and they're taking money out of every single paycheck when you're not even sure if you're going to use your health insurance that month, but you have to opt in or else you don't get it for that entire year. And I'm supposed to be grateful for a company that gives me like maybe a couple days off most for my paid time off for like the entire year, and like barely any sick days and or any time off to function. And we're basically sacrificing all of our time with our family, our loved ones, our personal and self-development, our health, our wellness, and our creativity because we're spending like 85+% of our time working and still struggling to just achieve anything, still struggling to afford life, even though you've given your all to this job and all the jobs before that. And I'm supposed to sit here and be grateful.
A lot of people here, the younger generations, Gen Z specifically, but even millennials and Gen Alpha, that probably will be soon once they're entering this workforce, if they even have already. I don't really know exactly the age range for that, but I'm sure they'll be getting there soon enough. It's inevitable for all of us, but they kind of look at it as like, why don't these people want to work? Why are these people so lazy? Are they so entitled to think they don't have to face the same struggles everybody else does, to have to pave their way to get ahead in life? And that's not necessarily the case. It's just when you see that you're not really running the same game as the people before you were running, they kind of got not only a step ahead, but they had much better support in terms of just the long game and the game itself, the overall game. It's so discouraging. And then you're still working with these people who, a lot of them, maybe they didn't really use that time accordingly. They didn't really see, they were in the golden years back when they were in them. And now we're all kind of here in 2025 struggling together. And we're all kind of looking up like, why is this the way it is, And so it doesn't really matter what age you are. I think at the end of the day, if we all just really look back and we really realize like it's rich versus poor, it really is. There really are no red and blue. It's the people who run stuff and the people that actually run it through like running the system, society, the slaves in the system. Now, I'm not saying you working your 40 hours a week is slavery, because let's be honest, especially these days, financially, economically, if you want to get ahead, damn near even stay afloat, you'll most certainly probably have to work more than 40 hours a week. You'll have to have your main job, probably 40 hours a week full time, and then we probably have to have a side job, or maybe two jobs and then also a side job. I don't really know what you do, depending on how many people you have in your household, how many people you have to support. Definitely is different for everybody. But I definitely think we should change what we consider a full-time schedule, a full-time work week, because I don't think 40 hours is cutting it. And I think that's, I don't know, if like OSHA laws, I don't know if like human rights, I don't know if HR will allow any of this, but it's not really working out for the worker. To kind of funny if you really put it down to that.
How am I supposed to save money when my bills cost the same as my check? Answer it quickly, because the first thing y'all be saying is it's bad money management. How the hell am I managing my money bad if my bills cost the same as my check? You're acting like I went and picked bills that were higher. Like, nope, I needed to add up to my full check. No, believe it or not, I try to go as cheap as possible. We already right here cutting off all the lights, cutting the air off, and we in Florida with over 100-degree weather. What you mean? We already taking them quick showers, baby. You got 7.5 minutes. Make it work. Make it work. That car don't crank unless I need to go somewhere important. Okay, baby, because I got a minivan and the gas is too high. I keep my front and back door closed so that my air stay in the house. I mean, that's what y'all told us ran the light bill up. And if I'm consistently using the same amount of electricity as I did last month, why is my bill $117 higher than it was last month? Talking about the cost of electricity went up. That ain't got shit to do with me. That sounds like the state.
It's actually a very similar topic of discussion I was just having with my mom the other day, where it's like, she's now retired. She makes like, let's say a little under $3,000 a month. Now, she could probably save up to move, but even, okay, let's say you work at a minimum wage job, $20 an hour, roughly $3,000 a month, give or take. I don't know. Let's just make it simple math here, okay? I'm not really doing specifics, but simple math for the example here. You live at a place that's $1,500 a month, and then your bills, utilities, living, anything is an extra, $500, and then you got to save a little bit, So let's say you're saving stuff, and then you got to live a little bit. You're really only going to be able, it's going to take you a couple months even of saving to get to that point where you can really make these big steps in life, like moving anything that's going to take a couple $1,000s. If you want to go on a trip, if you want to really live life, anything. Well, working all your jobs while having to do everything you do. We're not using my mom as an example, just anybody. Let's say you're just a minimum wage worker back when I was working. And but then within those 3 months, something always comes up. Hurdles always get in the way in life. And so you really just get put in this spot where it's like, yeah, maybe you make enough to get by, but you never really make enough to get ahead. And then there's so many different things in life, whether it's just moving or a funeral or a surgery or a wedding or an anniversary, anything that in life just comes up that, and then of course, they have the holidays every year that just tricks you into, brainwashes you into spending the money you were saving up anyway. So there's always something, whether it's birthdays, whether it's, graduations, there's always something that comes up. There's always hurdles in life where the savings you probably maybe would be able to get ahead in always get eaten up anyway. So you really get stuck in this rut where many people do in the average life, in the average wage gap that we're in right now. Not the wage gap, men and women, the wage gap between the people who make a lot and the people that make very little, which is the majority. It's really hard to get out of this position. So I definitely root for everybody. If you guys have a way out, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'm going to wrap up this video discussing how Gen Z hates life and how older boomers just don't get it, and they just want things to go back to the old days, back when things were, I'm not sure. You've probably heard that. Either way, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions regarding anything discussed in today's video, so feel free to leave those down below in the comments. You guys always do, and I'm more than appreciative of your guys' support around here. If anybody, actually a huge shout out to a few of you guys who do go above and beyond down below in the description. If anybody wants to do that, you can check out some of my other stuff. My Patreon, as low as $1 a month. You can talk to me personally for 24/7, 365. I respond right away, as low as $1 a month, as well as all the other donation links. Just throw a couple dollars worth of ramen noodle fund. I'm going to post a community post detailing more what's been going on in my life. My life has been throwing hurdles at me nonstop this week. It's been a very rough week for me, and I'm really sitting very low financially. In terms of economically, I'm cooked, chat. That's probably what Gen Z would say. I think I'm Gen Z, so I think I'm supposed to say that. But either way, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.